players after the first game are already exhausted because there were so many things happening in these games. It was like non-stop fighting.
They had Paris bouncing, they had us bouncing. It was a very high-tempo game, a fun game to watch. But now it's game 2, and where this all falls is going to be really interesting to track because the adaptations are certainly going to come in.
Yeah, but I really hope that Fnatic will look at this first game and say, it wasn't the draft that was the problem.
No.
It wasn't, you know, the idea we had for how to beat RNG. It was just the execution in the actual fight. So there is a chance they just go in and say, you know, we can grab the first pick Israel. We can pick a roaming mid laner still for Caps because it was successful for at least the first 20 minutes of the game.
Just got to tighten the team fights up a little bit. Watch the flanks a bit harder.
Or try to get more before the team fight phase, because of course they focus super on being able to roam, being able to outnumber, and largely able to do that in the first 20, but the true team fights, the 5v5s, they weren't set up for that.
Also, they probably got a little bit surprised about the Aurelia from Xiaohu and how well he actually played the champion, always killing Reckless in the backline. That is a potential phase 2 ban for Fnatic.
Small note also, Fnatic has chosen blue side. They've allowed RNG to jump over to the red side. We might actually just see the same sides every game this series.
But we are seeing the same first ban. Fnatic instantly banned Kai'Sa in game number 1. They're doing the same thing here in game number 2 as RNG again refuses to give Yasuo over to Caps.
Yeah, so last time Fnatic banned Kai'Sa, Karma, Morgana on their side, and RNG banned Camille, Yasuo, and Rakan. They have not selected the Camille just yet. They might change certain things. That is going to be the Talia ban. They feel like there was still enough happening from Caps' side that they don't want to deal with.
They've also revealed the Aurelia, and that's something that you can't necessarily pull wool over the eyes on a second time. They could still return to it as other matchups it would fit into. With Karma and Talia gone, the Aurelia chances go down.
Yeah, exactly, because again, Fnatic, if Talia gets locked in on their side, if it was open, could ban Aurelia. And Xiao had his best game of the tournament on that champion last time. We can't expect that every single time. So Rakan, once again, to avoid Zyrakan, and that's what we talk about. Take the Ezreal again, it worked fine.
6 out of 7 pieces of this draft are identical to game number 1 so far. The only thing different being that Talia ban swapped out for the Camille. Ezreal locked in for Fnatic. We'll see how RNG want to respond to this one.
With Akarsa still in the lineup, Caitlyn Skarner is a very possible response here. The teleport Caitlyn was up 6 or 7 CS in lanes, obviously went quite comfortably because of the naturally strong laning phase of the Caitlyn. They go for the Skarner again, though, on the red side.
I think there's a high chance they can grab Skarner, especially if they want to play around Xiaohu again, because it is so good for the all-ins, but they instead value this flex Vladimir. Let Me had a great performance in the last game, and they're probably expecting Whippo to take it.
And RNG's red side drafts have been dominated by strong flex picks in the first round on red side. Predictably, before it was the Karma, then moving it over to the Vladimir, a true flex pick here. The Camille was banned in game number 1, and does so to be a flex pick for Fnatic. We've already seen jungle Camille this tournament.
I would expect it to go top lane for
because
Whippo.
of Broxah.
Yeah, because of Broxah, but I also want to talk about Braum real quick, because that was taken by RNG in the last game, and Ming had a strong game, especially when it came to setting up some of these picks in the mid game. Hylissang could take it here if he doesn't want to risk it being picked up, but instead it is the Skarner takeaway on their side.
Fnatic don't want to have to deal with the power of that ultimate here again. They saw how effective it was against them last game. They'll try to utilize it for their own means here this time around. Of course, being able to combine the ultimates of both the Camille and Skarner means a lot of lockdown onto a single target. But one way to get somebody out of those situations, especially a Skarner pull, is utilizing the Tahm Kench. That's going to be locked in here now for the side of Royal Never Give Up.
I wonder what this means for junglers, because there could be more jungle bans because it's Karsa and not MLXG. The Zac is something we see pretty frequently into the Skarner if you don't fall behind. You have a lot of ability. The use of that Let's Bounce can certainly interrupt fights. Rise ban on the red side here. See what the counter pick is used for RNG, as we do see one jungle ban in the O.
Yeah, and it's pretty fascinating that Trundle has not really been a thing in this draft here. Fnatic has first picked it so many times during the tournament.
And I think you and I, and most of the analysts have discussed the fact that Trundle priority has been a bit high this time. Still a very strong champion, can do very powerful things in team fights, but early game, it's been a passenger too many times. I know I personally was calling for the Skarner, and the Skarner priority today, already night and day to anything we saw in the group stage games.
People definitely paying a lot of respect to the Scorpion thus far. We'll see if Fnatic wants to ban another jungler here with their last ban. 10 seconds to choose that one. In the meantime, worth pointing out that Royal Never Give Up banned both Ryze and Zoe, so they want to target Caps in this second part of the ban phase.
Forgot about the Aurelion Soul.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
It is still there, even with some of the roaming bans like Talia being removed. There's that Aurelion ban we talked about that could come in phase 2 from Fnatic, so they don't have to risk Xiao grabbing it. Kasa gets his Zac. This is again what we talked about in the first game. He is the Zac and Skarner player on RNG's side.
And I really like the matchup into the Skarner. You already saw Peanut earlier this tournament pull the mechanic of, as the Impale is actually being cast, you can use the Let's Bounce to bait out the cooldown and get out.
And Reckless hovering the Pantheon again. We have to go all the way back to 2014.
4 years ago.
When we had All-Star in Paris, the entire crowd was yelling, what is your profession? And of course answering the classic 300 style, and that is why Reckless is hovering the Pantheon. It's not because he wants to play it, hopefully not at least.
Hopefully no Pantheon AD carry in MSI semifinals, but they are doing what the crowd wants to do. There's a reason that they're playing here, right? This is the hometown crowd. You've got to do what the crowd wants to do, and they will lock in the Janna for support.
There it is, baby.
And there, you called it, Deficio.
I mean, easiest prediction ever, because he will always have it ready.
But it's bold. They don't know what matchup is into it now. Because Let Me's largely been on tank duty, there's less of a chance that Kassadin, for example, can come in very strong lane into the Aurelion Soul. We'll see what RNG decide. Let Me can play the carries, but usually it's a tie on the domestic scene have been charged with those.
I mean, there's also things like a fist you can grab if you're feeling pretty crazy down in that mid lane and you want to really try and see if you can shut down Aurelion Soul. It is going to be the on top lane.
If Zetia's in the lineup, top lane sub they could not bring to the tournament with only 6 players, then you think it's going to be a Vladimir top. Would have been very loaded with magic damage as well. Just going to be the Ornn, and it's a sort of lane matchup where if you can abuse those back timers, you get back again and again with the Aurelion Soul, regen through, the roam could happen.
Funny thing about that Ornn, even though we mentioned last game, it does have the 3rd highest pick ban rate of all champions so far at MSI 2018, sitting at an abysmal 36% win rate, so...
Because everyone picks
Yep,
it.
everybody, exactly. When you are picked that much, you're on the bad teams and the good.
I have to also blame Stark and Evos a little bit, because he grabbed it like 7 times and lost most of those games. But yeah,
a fair point.
The thing about Ornn is he's just the safest, and he's the best long-range engage you can get in the game. Now combine that with a Zac flying in as well. Last game, we talked about how RNG could dive Fnatic's backline and kill them with Vladimir and Irelia. This game, it is insane engage, setting up Xiao on this Vladimir to do exactly the same.
I mean, everyone's diving to Fisher. Both sides have crazy amounts of backline. The Camille we're going down the backline as well. So this could certainly be feisty and very exciting once again.
I hope it lives up to the hype that game number 1 set us up for. If that's the bar, I just want it to be raised each and every game. I can only dream, but we'll see if they can manage to accomplish that lofty goal as we head into Summer's Rift for the 2nd time today.
Game number 2 here, and we do see an adaptation. Mentioned earlier, we really liked the response of Uzi to go for this Caitlyn into Ezreal, but that was a TP Caitlyn. Notice we do have Heal, the much more standard combat summoner, taking on Uzi, and the reason for that is they know that Aurelion Soul is packing up and going bot lane again and again. If you take a teleport, it's only going to be gets back to lane. They need the Heal to live.
And remember, speaking of needing it to live, last game they lost the early 2 versus 2 in bottom lane and gave up an early kill. The Heal able to prevent such a situation this time around.
Oh, we see another exciting thing.
Oh, baby.
Xiao is running Predator on this Vladimir here. There is so many ways for him now to always buff up his own movement speed and just get into the backline.
He's starting with the shoes too. He's ready to go. He's got Predator available at level 1. Take that, junglers, and ready to go with my roaming. We'll see what it means. It means he doesn't have Unsealed Spellbook. His side lane play will probably be limited, and no Ghost either, so he's relying on the Predator and the Shirelias to get into fight.
And I think based on last game, it's not too bad for him to not be able to go side lane very often and have teleport, because it's gonna be a massive A-ramp in the mid lane, and we have so many tools to engage on RNG's side. They will get that fight. Fnatic, just like last game, invades level 1 near the enemy red buff.
Decide to go for this one. They capture the Skarner Spire, which means Skarner at least does something at level 1. Very weak if you don't have that. But Broxah should be able to secure this for himself rather easily. Zach not that scary at level 1.
And we saw Zach get shut down when Cuz was playing this in the final game of King Zone's group stage against Flash Wolves. And that was very much a team-wide plan and draft to shut down a jungler. And Soul can certainly do some counter jungling and also pay some attention to the Zach himself, but it's not quite the Hawk shot and the Graves to invade consistently. Broxah still escapes with the enemy red.
Carson Bobby just gonna accept that he only gets a couple of camps on his own side, and invading for enemy red buff is too risky. Cap with a decent start, running out of mana though on the Aurelion Soul. Still a very famous pick for him.
Very much so.
There's this joke in the EU office about how I always try to predict the Aurelion Soul, and it almost never happens, but he's always had it ready for the important games. It's always been one of those picks where you can't really prepare for it in the draft because you never know when he wants to play it, and this is a team that is down now, one game in a semifinal at MSI. This is the correct time for Cap to do it again.
And you can see the stats that he put up in that one game that he played versus RNG during the group stage of MSI. 5 KDA, 8 kills and assists in 15 minutes, 100% kill participation, 40% of the team's damage. A very strong performance on that chain.
And we return to the 3 things we identified as ways that RNG could be attacked. The roaming mid lane, of course, the prototype of that is the Aurelion Soul. Reason why we should also talk about something that wasn't included on that graphic. 4-0 and 4 was Caps at 20 minutes. He ruled the early game. They were able to shut down Xiaohu and roam to bot lane and get Uzi behind when they did play it against RNG.
But the one thing we also have to keep in mind, got to keep this down to earth, Fnatic ultimately did not emerge victorious from that game. They could not translate the early lead into a late game victory, which is the difference we want to see this time around from Fnatic. We want to see if Caps can find those leads and still get the win from them. As topside, they're making a very early 3-man dive here. Caps takes a lot of turret aggro, and they have to back away.
Yeah, the minion wave was not on the turret just yet. Meanwhile, bot lane, here's Karsa.
Bot lane is Hylissang, who may be in some trouble here. Karsa flashing backwards towards the minion wave, trying to get the stretching strikes. Fnatic get themselves out, as we're seeing more collapse now from Xiaohu. Remember, he's got the Predator on the Vladimir. Tries to come around, only gets a single unempowered transfusion onto Hylissang. They back away.
How often pre-4 minutes does everyone pack up and leave lane, go top or bot lane? Everyone's roaming around. That's exactly why the Predator comes in. He wants to be able to follow when Aurelion Soul pops over some walls.
We have to say the first Predator kind of sucked.
No, it's
like
it was not the greatest. It was not the greatest.
That was basically it. However, what we did get to see already is what we saw during the group stage when Whipper was on a carry. Caps and Broxah spend their time topside. They try and shut down Let Me. The goal around the Camille pick for Fnatic earlier was to have a split pusher that could actually finish the game in the side lane because she's so good at taking down these turrets. This is a new way for Fnatic to try and win, and that's kind of the thing that is fun about how they attack RNG. Is it bot side? Is it top lane? In this one, it's the top.
Well, remember, Whippo's Camille is up against the Vladimir of Xiaohu, and in the game that Fnatic played in the group stage versus Evos, it was Camille that could not beat the Vladimir in the late game now, as Karsa finds himself stuck under the turret, having to run away from yet another Fnatic attempt.
Now, of course, he farms slower than Ascana, but because he went for that gank bot side, he gave up Caps. He's still level 3 at the 5-minute mark into the game. But certainly slowing down the advance of the Zap.
That's going to be important here for Fnatic to keep track of Karsa's level. Bot lane might cancel a recall, and this Vladimir is here.
Oh, Xiaohu shows up at just the right time. You couldn't have done that better if you tried. First blood to RNG's mid lane.
Caps most likely expected Xiaohu to be back in base here. Did not communicate that he could be on his way to the bottom lane. He didn't even get to use the Predator, so we can't praise that one and say, oh, he surprised him with the speed. No, he just showed up over the blast zone.
And the Predator warning might have actually given more information and taken away from the play, but as you mentioned already, Faz, great coordination there from Ming and Xiaohu to pick up that all-important kill. And Let Me already showing a preview. Remember that Let Me, of our players on the Orin, loves to build for lane. Iceborne Gauntlet, Warmogs, a Catalyst. He very much builds to survive, as this is rewinding to Xiaohu's roam. Never spotted, no Predator early marker. It's all about Ming knowing his exact timing. There it is.
Oh, just so well done and coordinated. Gets him the kill. makes it so he's got that advantage. Now, not only does he have the kill gold, he's up 10 CS over his opponent. Xiaohu's in a wonderful spot.
The man's never going to shop, apparently. He's a madman, sitting on 2,050 gold. Started with the boots and the refillable. Never gone back to base, and another reason why. It's opening up a nice CS lead over his opponent.
It's the Empowered Transfusion down, decides to throw out the Hemo Blade, going to be ignited. He could very well burn away from this. Xiaohu! The questionable play there.
Yeah, that was a very easy kill for Captain. He can go straight to top lane.
Top side now, Whippo taken down to 200 HP. Let me, no level 6 available. This is critical. Broxa does have ultimate. Let me now just finds himself under the ultimate, but they grab the kill anyway. Broxa doesn't even need the sting. Fnatic find another kill.
We talk about the fact that gold is unspent means that he's not really relevant in the lane. He walks up to trade and burns to death because he doesn't have any beef behind his bones. The guy needs to actually go back to base and buy. Gets a nice shot for spot lane. Seeing the trades continue here. Bit of a level advantage for Uzi.
Caps more than happy to be donated that kill by Xiaohu earlier. Means that roaming that he did now puts him in a decent spot. He flashes forward into the waiting arms of that Vladimir. Broxa is nearby, but there's not much of a chance to do anything you would think. Caps getting himself away with the voice of flying incredibly late. And Fnatic lose none.
Surely that was a misclick to flash that wave for Caps, but in the end he actually stays alive. Camille is coming bot lane.
TP bottom side. Can Whippo find what he's looking for here? Issues the ultimatum onto Ming, and that seals his fate. Reckless grabs the kill as Whippo wants to make it too. Uzi gets himself away with a 90 caliber neck.
Completely agree on your analysis of the mid lane. It was a flash in fear. Just saw the Zac coming in, went in one direction, the wrong one. They get out with 2 summoners being used, but bot lane, they use this Zac top side. They go for the deep teleport, and it pays off.
Whippo will lose a couple of minions. Top lane might be a full wave going down, but this game starts just like the first one. Non-stop fighting in every single lane. RNG put their focus on the bottom side. Fnatic put their focus on the top side. So if we just look at the trends here, 81 CS for Uzi and a BF sword. It's working at least to get him ahead from RNG side, but their top laner is going to fall behind.
Take another look at how this play happened. The TP shows up, and it's already too late for Ming.
The lane is pushed up, so it feels like he has a bit of extra time. Won't lose 2 minion waves with this play. They just go for the easy target. Uzi has heal, knows there's no way out. For the Tom Kench, the extra dive was never going to lead to a kill, but we return to live and see that 9 minutes that bot lane turret goes down for RNG.
Turret first blood is just more money in the pockets of Uzi, exactly where RNG wants it.
And last game, Captain Flowers, you showed us that when RNG gets the bot lane turret first, they win all their games.
Yep.
Well, they got it in the last game. They're getting in this one as well. So Uzi's gonna get fed, but top lane, Hylissang is here already.
Trying to collapse onto Let Me yet again. Ultimate already coming out. Let Me take it low. Hylissang taking the turret as long as he can. One more auto attack should do it. Whippo flashing forward. He's not able to find the damage. Whippo is so low. Let Me survives. And Fnatic's dive is a failure for now. They want to see if they can get anything off the back. This Predator going to be popped. Xiaohu wants to make this happen. Still has flash available here as well. Not going to go for it. He knows Broxa is right there. Cap's coming up now as well. And Fnatic, 4 men strong in the top side, means that RNG gets Drake on the other side of the map, but the push will now continue. Still looking to find this kill on the Xiaohu. Whippo taking low, the Ignite continuing to burn him away. He may just still go down. He will. The pull onto Xiaohu will not find the kill yet. Caps has to use the ulti to do it. It's 1 for 1 in the top lane.
Fnatic, they keep trying to force plays top lane, but Let Me played the first tower dive perfectly. Stayed alive, got out. Xiaohu trades 1 for 1, so Fnatic are investing so much into getting these kills. They didn't even get the turret down.
And the objective part is the part that we really have to draw our attention to, because RNG is already ahead on the scoreboard on that metric. Held the flash for a long time. We're going to get the replay here. This is the second part of the fight. We already had Let Me close to going down to start, but Ignite the Hemo Plague enough to take down Weaver.
And it's so smart that he instantly pulls, because he knows, okay, I get the ult down and pull, and I can just keep dealing a bit of damage onto Whippo. If you don't do that instantly and save it for after the Skarner ult, then there's no chance Whippo actually dies here. So by playing it aggressive with his pool, Xiaohu secures a 1 for 1 and defended the turret.
Xiaohu's had some good moments so far this game on this Vladimir. Now has the Shirelia's Reverie completed, so you know that that's going to make sure he can get in there towards those back lines like he wants to, like Let Me did in game number 1 as we move further towards the mid game.
It is important for us to note that Hylissang is on his Janna. It is not a pick he's famous for by any means, but he's tried to pull it out a few times during the split. Very mixed success overall, as he typically is the more aggressive support style. But that Janna ult can be key when it comes to peeling, because you will have the Vladimir and the Zac diving in. I just think this is a very hard game to execute a Janna on.
And I was going to follow up that point and basically echo that, Deficio. When do you Janna? Your first thought is to stuff the Zac, and maybe a Q can do that. But the Ornn creates so much uncertainty in a fight. And between that, the Zac pops in, Predator, Vladimir shows up. It's very difficult to fully disengage RNG, and that's the struggle for Hylissang.
Hylissang played the Janna 3 times over the course of the regular spring split in 2018. Got 2 wins and a single loss. Now Cap's gonna be ganked in the mid lane though. It's Karsa showing up, looking to make this one happen. The ulti brings him right back into the turret. The Hemo Plague's already down, and they are gonna cash in. That dragon should be Vladimir food here in only a moment. The Sanguine Pool to shut him down. Broxah wants to try to make this a 1-for-1. Grabs the stun now, down onto his opponent. Manages to chain it into the ultimate. Excellent use of CC, and that evens it out.
And going 1-for-1 is actually decent there. The flash was about 5 seconds away from Caps to get out. He interrupts the elastic slingshot, but still flash up. Karsa's still able to shut him down. It ended up being 1-for-1. It doesn't really affect the mid lane because both the pushing champions are in the death chain.
But just like last game, Caps is the one getting early kills for Fnatic. Caps is the one playing it very well when it comes to the roams. And then RNG tried to shut him down with ganks. This Zac here, while he's only picked up 1 assist, Karsa's tried to be around his lanes when needed. It's just not really been about him.
One thing I want to remind viewers about Game 1 is in all the pandemonium, there were many times when Taliyah was on the roam, there was a lot of kills onto Caps, and they never translated Olaf Taliyah into forward vision. They never really knew where Skarner was in game number 1, and he surprised them with his ganks many a time. In this game, deep vision is even more important to spot the Zac when he pops over from his Raptors, for example. Getting that vision down is so important, and let's see if Fnatic can actually get there, because again, 13 minutes, the vision's very shallow.
Yeah, and especially because Fnatic don't want to trade kills with RNG. Fnatic needs to snowball. We just talked about how hard it is for them to play team fights against these massive tanks, a ton of hard engage, and the Vladimir. So Fnatic needs to get ahead, not trade.
Well, let's see if the snowball can come in here in the bottom lane. Let me collapsed on. The damage comes through. Karsa's not there in time to make the save. Xiaohu coming around through the tri-brush here now. Fnatic needs to back themselves away. Predator emblems above their heads. Broxah going to be hit by the initial damage, but Fnatic disengages.
And that was the kind of trade Fnatic were looking for. They knew Vladimir was going to be late to the party because he cannot follow the Aurelian Soul. Go in, get 1 kill. Eventually you're going to get a turret as well. And then in this mid-game, keep playing aggressive.
But you look on the screen, what more did they get than a kill? They don't cement vision control over the enemy blue. They don't even have someone parked in the bot lane to push up the turrets. Caitlyn was able to get a shot in, go top side, so the Ezreal and Janna not contributing either. So it just ends up being kill gold, but doesn't advance their map position or even get those wards to spot the Zac like we discussed.
Caps on this Aurelian Soul. Rod of Ages completed. Making roams all over the place. Let's take another look at this one.
It's just a 3 versus 1. Play Let Me knows that he's going to be the target all game long. Tries to get the ult up to buy time, but obviously can't do anything to stay alive. But as you highlighted there, Papa Smithy, after the play, Fnatic can just go back to base and then return to the lane just like nothing happened.
I want to jump back to what we talked about earlier on Caps, the 1 game he played on Aurelian Soul at MSI this year. At 15 minutes, he had 8 combined kills and assists with 100% kill participation. This time around, he's at 5 out of 6. So still putting up some impressive numbers on that champion.
Struggle with that stat though, Flowers. They lost that game, and largely it was because they had this huge Aurelian Soul. We still had Reckless getting going on his champion, Tristana, I believe, at the time. And it looked like they could make a great Baron play. They had a great Baron setup team, but they just never shifted vision, never got the Baron started, and then Uzi showed up, and that was all she wrote with team fights. The team fight power of RNG is there in the drop and in the players, and for Fnatic, we're just not seeing them push forward.
And by RNG just being even in gold at 15 minutes, it's perfect for them. Knowing that scaling you just talked about, knowing the ability to execute late game, Fnatic, there's a top lane turret that's low. They can try and play around. They can go for another dive against Let Me with Aurelian Soul and Camille. But they need to start getting ahead of RNG or they're not going to win this game.
RNG with that bottom lane set up now in the top side. Fnatic doing the same since that 1 turret has fallen in the bottom lane. That's the only structure that has been felled by either team so far, and RNG is fine playing this scaling game. Whippo still just kind of going even against Let Me in this 1-versus-1. This isn't a Camille that's an unstoppable split push threat.
I'm sure if we could listen to the comms, we'd be calm it down, we're fine. If you're on the RNG side, Uzi's getting access to farm. He's always ahead of the clock. It used to be 10 CS a minute. We didn't Uzi scale for that.
There's a separate
but now they're actually attacking Let Me's lane.
Whippo in some trouble, flashing away from the second part of the Ornn ultimate. Karsa can't get in range for the second part of stretching strikes, which critically allows Whippo to escape.
And also Fnatic now know the jungler's bottom side. They took the Rift Health. This is a good trade for Fnatic. Flash for it, potentially a big objective. Xiaohu's turret is also fairly low. If they can get a top lane turret down and get a 2,000 to 3,000 goal lead plus the map control, Fnatic can keep making picks.
Moving straight, they're on the front foot, knowing that Zach and Vladimir dealt with that turret in the mid lane. Turret very, very low. So I think you got the number there, Flowers. But the top lane turret, that one's going to go down.
Shelly got that turret in the mid lane to 200 HP. Just
Okay.
barely misses out on taking that one off the map. We'll see Fnatic surely take that down rather soon. Only a couple of auto attacks should do it. Caps will get that right here. Put some more money in Fnatic pockets.
Somehow, the question of live or replay that Twitch chat always likes to talk about is getting there. It's feeling a lot like that earlier game when they played Aurelion Sol against RNG. They're building a gold lead. It's not 5,000, but it's getting there.
And as we highlighted earlier as well, it is a split pusher for Whippo on this Camille here. Once he gets 24's Ravenous Hydra, Let Me can't stop him in the side lane. And that means Fnatic can start trying to avoid team fights. If they know they can't win them, it is difficult against the amount of hard engage on RNG's side, but they can look at Whippo as the man who can win it in the side lane.
But I look at Vladimir, currently has Shurelia's Predator and a Banshee Veil, and I don't know how you stop this guy RSVPing. If he wants to get there, he will. Nature of Vladimir in team fights, even though both Vladimir and Aurelion Sol have a lot of AoE, Vladimir will always get it on the back line because he's so hard to peel away. Whereas Aurelion Sol's role in late game team fights, he can't even really be a peel for the AD carry because he dies so fast with his build.
Which is kind of what we saw when Caps played this earlier.
Yep.
The game where he did so well but wasn't able to secure the victory. It just seemed like he couldn't play an appropriate role. Now, it's RNG who are looking to make the play onto Fnatic that will not succeed, but they've got themselves in a position to look to take this Drake that's now live. They've already got one under the belt, looking to make it two. Full 5-man strong here for the LPL representatives. Fnatic want to stop this. Karsa down to about half HP. Ornn comes through. Cap's going to be knocked up into the air. Brox is still getting himself away. Skarner at full HP. Drake down to half. Broxton maintaining his position right on top of this. Skarner's fire is going to be captured. That could be pretty big. Got it. It's still going to be RNG who takes the objective away. Broxton having to flash out, looking to keep himself alive. Xiaohu in the front line, able to find some damage. Goes into the pool. RNG hiding themselves back now. It's Fnatic on the offensive. RNG trying to escape as Whippo goes off to the side, able to issue the ultimatum, finds the damage down onto the Zac. Let Me drops to Reckless, and Fnatic have found the fight. How much further will they take the momentum on this one? Broxton goes on a killing spree, grabbing the damage. Now down onto Karsa, 2 dead on the side of RNG. Can Fnatic find any more? Reckless still looking for it. Caps wants to make the play on the flank. Sanguine pull from Xiaohu. Gets gobbled up by Minh. Gonna be saved for now. He's gonna live himself away. He barely survives.
Oh, that one gets blocked as well here. We're not in the late game yet. RNG's team fight is not that scary at this point. Fnatic actually got the perfect setup because Let Me's ult was fairly wasted, and suddenly RNG didn't have a good way of reaching that Fnatic backline.
Expectations changes from here. Traditionally, Aurelion Sol goes the more utility items. Rylai's already a start, maybe even a Shurelia's coming in. Doesn't have the high AP totals. Late game, it's not late game like you mentioned, Deficio. And the zone controls went on. We have to mention, though, Karsa does start it off with the Baron steal.
He gets the steal here. Sadly for him, not a Baron, but
Drake steal, close enough.
And Cloud is the same in NA as a Baron. This here, though, is the fight where, for Fnatic, Reckless is completely untouched in the entire fight because all the engages were either used on stealing a Drake or used on trying to knock off Caps.
Let Me, it's not as tanky as going to be late game. The Zac tried to go out and just exit the fight on the right side, but Whippo smartly realized he can get his man and take down the Zac. Then there's no front line, and Caps jumping over stopped Uzi from disengaging and got them more kills.
And look at the damage in that fight, over 8,000 between the two carries on the side of Fnatic, both just given so much opportunity to unload that damage. But now, the Baron is live. We're only just now cresting the 20-minute mark. For all the action that we've seen and all the attempted plays that we've seen so far this game, we're only this far into the game. So now, I want to see how these teams play around the Baron, because remember in game number 1, they danced around it for 5 minutes.
They did, and if you're a Fnatic, this is a good way for you to potentially force another fight on RNG while you are still strong. This reckless Ezreal here, 24's tier upgraded. He's ready to take the fight against Uzi. Xiaohu is the main person you need to be scared of. Great first game, second game, also picking up kills on this Vladimir here. We talked about the Predator earlier, plus Shurelius. Like, he will get in the back line, but does he have enough damage this early on in the game to burn through the Janus shield and a Monsoon?
First thought is no, and you also asked the question of Caitlyn getting 3 auto attacks onto the Aurelion Soul when he tries to zone. That also right now is not going to be taking down the Aurelion Soul. Only just the single Zeal item and Infinity Edge complete. So there's still time. It's still probably 3 to 5 minutes where if you start the Baron and turn, get the right turn with the Camille, profit could be big for Fnatic.
Yeah, but also look at the Camille in the bot lane. We're getting a preview of what's going to happen later when she sits on split pushes. She took down the bot lane turret. Couple of hits on another turret with a Sheen and her Q proccing every single time. Like, these structures die very, very quickly. So RNG, they have to force a team fight to stop Quiver from pushing.
And because Let Me was targeted for once, it's not built for lane. It's not Iceborne Gauntlet Warmo. It's going to be the Frozen Heart. Much more team fight utility. He's going to be able to take less strong trades as that inevitable march of the Camille happens. When that Trinity Force comes in, maybe there will be an inner turret and more rolling down for Fnatic in that lane.
And Whippo's going back with a lot of money in the bank. 2,400 gold means Trinity Force now comes online. He can buy the Vampiric Scepter, working towards that Ravenous Hydra that we already talked about as well. And the timer keeps on ticking towards that split push monster, that inevitability. And remember, we've seen Whippo succeed on this, even against the game that the tiebreaker that they played against Team Liquid, to make their way into where they are now. Fnatic had Whippo on the gangplank, just causing trouble on the opposite end of the map from everyone else.
Now they have control around the Baron area. They have the stronger setup. If we look at especially Reckless on this Ezreal, will of course stack the second tier. He's sitting on 1,700 gold, so a lot for him as well next time he goes back.
To me, you need to chunk out one of Karsa or Xiaohu to actually start the Baron, because Karsa can get into the pit from comically far away. You can't usually stick vision all the way past the Raptor Brush to actually stop there from being any steal potential. So this area, currently owned by Fnatic, is very hard to stick control.
But look at the inventory of Karsa. The Kindle Gem with the Giant's Belt tells me he's going for a Warmog's armor soon, which is going to eliminate the possibility of having that poke him out win condition. Uzi gets a nice shot onto Reckless there with the power of the rapid fire cannon, but RNG is still on the back foot.
But Fnatic have the mid lane control, so they can go towards this lane here with Whippo. Caps is sitting around. Brux is on his way. Let Me should not be chasing out for any kills here.
Let Me has already charged in. Doesn't get hit by the stun. Caps tries to get himself away from this one, but the counterattack comes out, and that's Caps caught out and beaten down. Throws out the Voice of Light, still not going to be enough, and Xiaohu takes the goal.
Oh, Fnatic still kept a bunch of members in the mid lane, and Let Me was like, yeah, I'm not taking this fight alone, everyone. I have Tom Kench on his way, and then, yes, you can step forward. Good answer from RNG, and Fnatic tried to help Whippo get the advantage instead of leaving him in the 1v1, and that just backfired.
It did seem like Caps was caught between two ideas. He had originally pulled out from going for the kill, then saw Let Me walk up, and the rest of the team were not on the same wavelengths. They abandoned the Aurelion Soul to die. A lot of time on the map now to clear vision. We see the replay here. Caps starts to walk up, and this is with a really important moment.
Yeah, but Fnatic's bottom lane have plenty of time to start moving down before this fight even breaks out. But they want to kill another wave, and I think that just maybe surprises Caps that they're actually not ready to take a fight, and then he gets caught out.
The one more wave against Tom Kench when the laning phase is ended can be so costly. See how it affects too much, because right now Whippo's back up around that inner turret.
Right. The big thing here for Fnatic is the fact that although they lost their mid laner, there were no big stinging consequences. It didn't give up a Baron, it didn't give up another Drake. There wasn't anything that RNG could effectively translate that into immediately. So it's a lesser sin right now for Fnatic. We'll see how they continue to play this one. Still in control of the map for now, still up about 4,000 gold, still laying down vision in that enemy jungle, prepping around the Baron.
As long as they don't start the Baron, then RNG can keep this defensive stance around their own jungle. Just buy more time. Uzi's now on 3 items. there is enough armor on the side of Broxah, plus a Janna shield that you can start the Baron as Fnatic and not take too much damage and see if RNG are reacting in time. When RNG was this far down against the Flash Wolves in one of the group stage games, they did not react quick enough to a Baron being started. They lost it. That is still the window Fnatic are looking for.
And Caps is just trying to use ult over the wall to contest a red buff. They're no longer trying to stick super long range, engage, or look for these very deep wards here are Fnatic. So it is once again decreasing the tempo. We were looking at 22 minutes, about how Fnatic will move their position forward. We're 26 minutes in now. There's that death cap. There's the second Zeal upgrade. The team fight situation here for Fnatic is taking a nosedive fast.
Will be able to find themselves Cloud Drake #1 to compete with the Drake that RNG has. That'll even up the move speed count between the teams. But it's like you said, Papa Smithy, going into this game, you wanted to see them be able to get far enough ahead. Is 4,000 gold at 27 minutes far enough ahead?
Only if you get the Baron. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to finish the game with this kind of gold lead. It's going to buy too much time for RNG to get their items. Another point is, Fnatic have not been able to control Drakes. And typically with compositions that want to get ahead early, you tend to rack up 3 to 4 Drakes on your side, and then the Elder Drake becomes the kind of last chance for your team to secure a big buff and then finish the game. But that's not going to be a big deal for Fnatic here.
It just feels in general, when they've been able to out-rotate and have 3 in the face of 1, sure, they've largely been able to execute. But when you have comps like this, usually incidentally, it's so much tabs on where the enemy is and what they're looking to do that the Drakes largely happen when the enemy is cross-mapping. In this game, that hasn't happened, and their control of the map is less than I'd expect with the comp they've dropped.
And that control isn't getting them the ability to choke their opponents out either. Look at the farm on Uzi, 354. He's averaging 12.5 CS a minute right now, just hanging out and farming. Whippo pushing down the bottom lane, takes out the tier 2.
And that is the counterpoint, is that Whippo has been launched far ahead. He's got some good items, but he hasn't been able to push up lanes. They do get that in a turret because of all the attention on that.
And Whippo can keep doing this. Question is, can he do it fast enough for him to actually take an in-hit before RNG gets a big fight? Fnatic are still in an okay spot as long as they can execute around this next Baron. They cannot afford to lose a fight and the Baron, then the game will go heavily in RNG's favor. So as long as they can continue around this objective and start it eventually and then win the following fight, it's okay.
Bottom side, let me call in some backup yet again. Ming comes in with the Abyssal Voyage, bringing Uzi along for the trip, and Whippo wants nothing to do with any of this. Tries to get himself away, but across the map, it's Baron, started up by Fnatic. Hylissang's going to keep the remaining members of RNG occupied, while Reckless, Broxah, and Caps do everything they can to burn this down. They've already got it down to about half, as the fight will continue over off the side. Whippo having to issue the ultimatum, trying to get himself away. He will fall, and the RNG counterattack begins. Into the pick goes Karsa. Baron going to be taken down below 1,000 HP, and Karsa steals away Fnatic! Finds disaster as Let Me grabs the kill onto Reckless. Uzi grabs the kill onto Broxah. Fnatic have already lost 3 and the biggest objective on the map. Caps steps onto the trap as he tries to continue running, but RNG have found such a huge success here. Let Me wants to chase down Hylissang, should be able to hopefully bring him down for RNG's sake, but they've got the push already mounting here in the mid lane. Hylissang still trying to run away. The knock-up not going to find the mark. Here comes Tom Kench. Tongue lash out of the shrubbery. The knockback from Hylissang wants to flash over the wall, gets devoured up instead, and Ming grabs the kill while mid lane the tier 2 falls to the siege.
The acid test, the breaking point of this game was, could Fnatic turn Aurelion Sol and some smart roams into a Baron? We evaluated it for 10 minutes as they had control, but not enough to actually start the objective. They're forced into an objective start. They're not able to take it down. They can't keep Karsa out of the pit. Baron goes to RNG, and sadly now, the chief amount of momentum at 30 minutes.
Yeah, we kept giving them more chances. Okay, yes, you're delaying it a bit, but as long as you can get the Baron, there is a good chance for you. But let's see the play. Let's remind everyone that you can use Aurelion Sol ulti, Janna ult, Janna Hurricane, these kind of abilities to try and deny Karsa from getting in. But Hylissang is on the other side of the Baron pit for now, and then Whippo gets caught out.
Yeah, Whippo was, of course, still running. Baron is being burned as all of this is happening. They don't fully pull off it. It's down to 2,600. That's when the ulti is used by the Aurelion Sol. It doesn't keep Karsa out of the pit.
Yeah, everyone steps away as well when Xiaohu shows up. You are looking at a Vladimir on 3 items and you're in a Baron pit. So naturally you get very scared. And in the end, Fnatic took the 50-50 smite. Brox has been winning some of those, but not this one.
You could see the frustration on his face there. Fnatic had a couple of amazing smite steals of their own during group stage play, but the smite giveth and the smite taketh. And now it's taken them into a spot where even though they've controlled so much of the game, RNG is once again behind the wheel.
And if this game somehow extends to a second Baron, if the game doesn't end by then, consider that RNG have 2 Warmogs tanks that can shrug off Baron damage and peel again and again. That wasn't Fnatic's equation. They don't have Warmog. They have much more squishy damage focus or target acquisition tanks in the Skarner. So the Baron dance for RNG is much simpler when we get to that point.
Fnatic are trying something here. They're sending Cap to the lane of Whippo, but he realized, okay, nothing is happening. And RNG, of course, with the Baron buff, can just push straight down the base.
We call this the piggyback strategy in the LCK, where you bring your mid laner and try to crash a turret and an inhibitor as the enemy goes. But with Caitlyn going for a siege, you can see already a lot of damage done to that turret.
Bottom side, Whippo gets collapsed on. Let Me and Xiaohu working together to burn him away without that side lane threat. It's now Fnatic looking to make the play onto the remaining members of RNG, but TP comes in. Karsa still looking to make the play, tries to use the ulti. Instead going to be ulted back by Broxa. The Bloblets are in place. They're in the middle of the team, and Reckless grabs the kill onto that enemy. Uzi barely kept alive by me.
They can chase though, Reckless red buff.
Reckless does manage to find himself a double, wants to make it a triple. Broxa gets the chilling smite down. Uzi tries to get himself away from this with more damage coming in from Reckless, wants to go forward a little bit further, needs another arcane shift into a mystic shot. And the triple kill for the AD carry.
RNG sent back their mid laner to kill Whippo. Suddenly, there are 3 members only of RNG pushing for that top lane inhib, and Fnatic, they realize they just charge straight at them.
First communication lapse in the series also for Karsa, who goes in to buy time. He dies and the collapse on point from Fnatic, able to jump over the walls with Aurelion Sol. And this is a sort of gold injection Fnatic was looking for.
And we have this Ezreal here with the double tier. That is a strong build now in the late game. Reckless getting the kills. He's the person who really wants to step up and be the big carry against RNG.
Vladimir invested into this one on the minimap, or picture-in-picture, we can see the dragon was picked up. Whippo was actually just taken down, but this is the cross-map we're talking about. Karsa's option, where is he going with that slingshot? He goes into the team, burned down very easily because the Impale is there, and RNG don't realize early enough that they needed to get up much faster.
And also it's Ornn without ulti showing up, not really able to add any value, so RNG, by creating an aggressive play on their own, they actually lose track of what's happening and they get punished.
And the chase down is cemented by the fact that with this build, Trinity Force into the Ceres Embrace is exactly 40% CDR, probably has the 5% also coming in from the runes. He has chase for days. The short cooldown on the arcane shift, so nicely executed by Fnatic.
You can see, though, despite the tragedy that just befell them at the end, RNG still got a lot of money out of that Baron. Over 6,000 gold in total. Brings this game to dead even. 61,000 to 61,000. Drakes are identical even. This could go either way.
It could. Definitely Fnatic finds a way back in this game here after losing that Baron. Reckless on this Ezreal, hitting the turrets.
Let's see if RNG can hold. It's the mid lane inhibitor turret that finds itself dropping very rapidly and already disintegrated. Now by the side of Fnatic, the Ornn ultimate comes through, finds its way onto multiple members. Hylissang knocked up into the air, immediately killed. Caps tries to escape. Little by little, they whittle away at the health. The redemption comes through, but the Zhonya's is going to block it. A double kill over to the side of Xiaohu as Letmead continues to hold the line against Whippo. He wants to get in, take down that inhibitor turret, go for the inhibitors themselves. Whippo's trying to provide a threat, but RNG is pushing straight for the base instead. All they need is for Letmead to hold the line here at the Nexus. Broxa wants to try to defend the base. It's a big push from RNG coming through the middle lane. They've got one minion, and if they protect it, the backdoor bonuses will not be available. RNG down the mid lane have the turret already going for the inhibitor itself. Uzi putting the auto attacks into this one, should be able to find it. Whippo getting himself back from that bottom side.
And they get the 2-for-1 special here, Flowers. That's the question they packed up, ignored. The Camille taking down one inhibitor. They get the turret, but they don't actually cement a second inhibitor.
They know Baron is spawning, man. Baron is spawning in about 20 seconds. You don't want to stay too long in the enemy base and then be caught with your pants down. They're pinging straight forward.
Caps is alive. There's no control wards for RNG to drop just a single ward, as you can see. So their setup is not going to stifle Fnatic.
Oh, he gets interrupted.
Karsa makes it over the wall. The tornado not quite in place to interrupt him beforehand. Could have been a big pick there for Fnatic.
But that was the important thing for RNG by trying to step away, was you get a chance to go back, spend your goal, and then get ready for a Baron fight. Karsa is still around, didn't get to recall just yet. Now only sitting on 700 gold, and he has his tank item, so he doesn't really care too much.
With a bit of breathing room, I want to identify that early in the game we talked about expectations. Okay, even gold in the late game, it's going to be RNG winning a 5v5. Whippo can make it not a true 5v5 with his split push. That's the pandemonium they need. But now Whippo's alone, and we see the Vladimir show up again.
Whippo finds himself caught in the 1 versus 2, gets himself away.
Nice.
A fantastic escape from Fnatic.
Really important he stays alive. RNG cannot just instantly rush towards the Baron.
And Whippo must keep split pushing to stop it just being on ult into Vladimir, Predator, into kill. He can do so much work in the side lane, and that's why we respect the Fnatic still has a chance.
We still have about 10 seconds on Let Me's teleport. In case Fnatic starts the Baron instantly, he can't join fast enough, and he doesn't have the ult. They can actually go for this and try and bait a team fight, but they're stepping away. I'm not sure if they're 100% tracking the TP on the Ornn. Whippo, though, continues in that side lane. Fnatic really wants him to just stick to the 1v1. If they can force RNG to the Baron with everyone else, Whippo can start killing Nexus turrets.
Play the Ruin King, double tier upgrades. How fast can Fnatic burn the Baron? And inevitably we see Xiaohu do exactly this.
Xiaohu again looking for Whippo, wants to stop this split push. Fnatic burning the Baron down rather rapidly. Whippo with another fantastic escape. RNG moving into position, looking to stop Fnatic. TP into the pit from Let Me. Broxah still hanging around. Baron down to 3k HP. Karsa wants to come over the wall, channels the slingshot, makes his way into the river. Baron health resetting now, putting us back to an even state.
Whippo stayed alive, but he's now in the top lane, so he's not a threat against the Nexus turret bot lane unless he TPs in. That means RNG can start the Baron and look for a team fight.
RNG know they have to go right now. They're down with the teleport advantage. It's Karsa going in, looking to engage right on the enemy team. Broxah's already going to be taken down. No, Spike's still down. RNG just going to make something happen. Whippo split pushing into the bottom lane now as well. RNG need to finish this one off. They need to do it rapidly. Secured by Uzi of all people, as now they look to see what else they can find. Baron buffs trying to be used. Whippo on the Nexus turret. Looking to find 1, looking to find 2. RNG has to get back. Turret's going to be taken very low. Whippo still trying to escape. Gets himself out with a hook shot. As RNG get one objective, and Fnatic get another.
Okay, they're getting things, but they give up on the Baron. They know that if RNG control the pit with their double wall marks, they can turn and get a lot. They don't quite make it a naked Nexus. They can't take down both the Nexus turrets. They get close.
But we keep seeing why Fnatic want to play this Camille, why they value the ability to take down structures so quickly so you can keep that split pusher as a win condition. EVOS earlier in the MSI groups that did this to Fnatic with a Camille, and they're trying to do it to RNG.
They're learning from what works so well against them. Ultimately, remember though, Fnatic did defeat the Camille split push, and it was a Vladimir that stopped it. If Xiaohu can do the same, that could end Fnatic's win condition, but now they found the collapse onto that very same pick. Xiaohu nearly gonna be dropped down, does keep himself alive just barely, but it's a big pick from Fnatic. They will end up being able to find that one. Hillisek now dropping. RNG with the counterattack, that's Uzi free firing, remember. 6 items on both lady carries. Whippo looking to go for the base. He wants to end this game. Can he find it? No minions in the base just yet. Cap will come around and help him. Uzi is here. Plenty of damage available for this Caitlyn. Let me flashing forward, grabbing the knockup down onto Whippo. GA is going to be procced. And that is huge. Caitlyn's so good against Guardian Angels. You proc the trap, you prime it up, you shoot him down.
As critical
Fnatic
right
goes into the Elder Drake. RNG now again having yet another problem to answer. Fnatic is so high tempo, but Karsa will again spike the objective away.
Karsa coming into the team, unexpected that he would even play today, gets 2 crucial smites. I wondered about the Baron. Do they just roll the dice on 50-50? They didn't. Eventually Karsa gets it. This time they try the 50-50, and Karsa gets it again.
And now they're looking at that base here. There's no TP from Whippo, there's no GA. That last Nexus turret is still standing there. There is no way for him to reach that base unnoticed. RNG with a double buffed up team can move down towards Fnatic.
This is the uber buff Baron plus Elder Drake. makes this RNG squad incredibly intimidating. One inhibitor down now, moving towards the top lane to find number 2. 5 men strong. Xiaohu hanging out around behind everyone else. He could come in on that flank very easily. 2 inhibitors down now for RNG.
Be a mistake to contest this 5v5, in my opinion, especially with the buffs rolled in to muddy the waters further. They need to recreate a split push once again, but that split push is a teleport cooldown and maybe even a Guardian Angel away from Whippo.
RNG continue to push down the mid lane, trying to siege up this Nexus and end this game. Nexus turret number 1, already shot down by Uzi. Fnatic have to make the call on where, when, how they want to defend this, because time will run out if they don't. RNG waiting on those minion waves from both top and middle to come with them so they can continue this push. Caps moves forward.
Rolling chants from the Parisian crowd. Where's the Alamo? Seems to be this turret.
Broxa going to be interrupted now. Broxa dragging Karsa right back into the fight. Karsa trying to find the ulti, bringing Broxa right back into the lines of RNG. Can they find the damage? Broxa barely going to be getting himself away. Karsa takes the Uzi, brought down. Barely goes down, has to resurrect from the GA. Fnatic are going to hold the line for now. Broxa drops first. Xiaohu got the kill on that one. He should fall here. Reckless nearly brought down. Not going to be Hylissang with the flash to keep the AD carry alive. But RNG is just too much. 5 men strong, still in the base. They'll take down Fnatic for a second time. Hylissang falls in the fountain. Whippo can't do it, and RNG will take us to match point.
RNG's late game, their team fighting, it's too much for Fnatic at the moment. That Baron play, we gotta go back to 28 minutes. Fnatic had the lead, they were setting up, they were ready with a split pusher in the side lane, they were ready to execute a Baron, and Karsa steals it, and suddenly RNG starts winning.